There's a story I read about in Romania. I think it was Romania. They had this dictator. No one liked this dictator.
Tovarășul Nicolae Ceaușescu.
And he was giving a speech one day, and this one guy, all of a sudden, he just booed.
Mulțumiri inițiatorilor și organizatorilor acestei mari manifestări populare din București.
He was like, just on a mission to suicide. But what happened was there was a second boo and then a third boo.
Considerând aceasta ca o...
And then the whole stadium started booing, and they booed this dictator off the stage. And it was over after that. And so Gyuri just reminds me of the first guy who booed. Like, generally, this is a terrible idea. But Gyuri is a man of courage.
And not many people have the courage to be original, stick to their guns, try to do this very radically different thing, and see it through. And he's seeing it through. So salute the persistence, salute the originality of vision, and salute the courage it takes, because it's very much sorry, I have it in French, la traversée du désert, like the walk, Jesus walking through the desert, where when nobody's listening and having to, preaching in the desert. It's tough. I know it's tough. I have some of that journey myself, and I really respect your persistence.
He is willing to say the emperor has no clothes. Like, this is stupid. Like, everything, the way that everything is built from the very bottom is stupid. And I'm willing to say that. And even if I'm just standing outside in a corner by myself saying that, I'm going to say that because that's what I see.
I know that he's been through some very, very difficult times. It's really difficult when you're in the desert, when you've got no water, when you've got no money, you're kind of on your hands and knees. But he just keeps going. And you've got to admire that staying power, that kind of perseverance. It's like, there are some values that you just won't compromise, because you can't compromise them, because that's the whole point, is that they've been compromised and you're trying to reverse all of that stuff. So, all power to you guys. Keep going, and that's something that Gyuri does.
You're a wonderful part of our community, and yeah, I think others have said that you're the way I put it is you're not shy to speak your mind.
Gyuri can be strong. He can be strong-willed and strongly opinionated, and so I just want to make this observation that my very first meeting with him, which I think was orchestrated by Marc Antoine, I got very irritated with him. And as I recall, I left and almost immediately got some emails saying, hey, you should come back, you should whatever. And eventually I decided, I really do have to play the high road with him, because he's a part of the intelligence group that we're all in. So I went back, and I have to say I'm damn glad I did, because once you get past the strength of the man, inside there is just so much intellect that I don't know if you know this or not, but you can go out, and if there's power lines in your backyard, you can put a bunch of wires back and forth underneath the power lines, and you can actually power a transistor radio. And you're basically sucking information out of the power lines and using that to your own good. And being around Gyuri is a little bit like that. There's this radiation of information that I'm being selfish. I like it, and so I'm glad I returned. I'll stop there.
And your intent and your vision are fiery but clear. And I think also, you know, about what you're doing and building and the ways forward, but also in response to what's happening all around kind of every day with major issues to be dealt with and actually problems to be solved.
When I first met Gyuri, he was banging on about this Douglas Engelbart, and I was quite mystified for quite a while. But then he was so patiently explaining the concepts again and again until they started to kind of sink in. So now I kind of get it. I get how foundational it is to decentralize the internet because Gyuri's explained those concepts to me. And so it's provided really another piece, a key piece of the puzzle of how do we do this. The other thing that I really appreciate is the level of integrity that's there with Gyuri.
Gyuri he can see really simple truths, and from his speech, which is very technical usually, what I realized from talking with him for a long time is that I think that Gyuri is also a deeply spiritual person, and he expresses his spirituality through code.
What I appreciate about you is that you don't seem to care who I am or where I came from or what I've done, or more likely what I probably haven't done. You just seem to be interested if I have something that's interesting. And you're just so drawn to the ideas.
And finally, I think what I'd say is that he's very appreciative of other people. If you know, if they listen or kind of say, "Oh, okay, I get that now," it's like you're made to feel that you have value because you've understood something. So it's really wonderful.
I just want to acknowledge that your poetry and your way with words, I really love. In English, your words are golden.
I really appreciate Gyuri's persistence. And sometimes, I mean, he said, you know, oh, I really listened. Well, he really took the time to explain. Gyuri holds unconventional ideas, and I appreciate him for that and for sometimes forcing me to rethink assumptions. And yeah, he's been around, thought things through, and in a way that is unique to him. And he's not afraid to be an outlier and not afraid to offer a totally novel perspective on key issues.
You're a network weaver. I see that you're really connected, and you're really also passing people between different groups and networks and cross-pollinating. So
a lot of people roll their eyes when I start talking, at least in my own circles. And it's nice to have someone who leans in like you're doing now. I noticed your face. You thought, oh, I want to hear it. Your posture said, tell me more. And that just, I don't know. I really appreciate being able to share ideas and have someone who has that depth be able to respond to them, because it helps me understand where I'm moving in the right direction and where I maybe need to rethink. So thank you for that.
He's just a really deep thinker, and he speaks with so much honesty about what he knows and what he believes. And people listen because he's that fountain of knowledge. And he says it so clearly that even people who don't understand all of what he's talking about get the essence of it. That's a gift.
He's not going to say, I'm so spiritual, but it just comes out in why he's doing what he's doing. And he says, what's important to me is having something for the next generation. What is the knowledge that we are passing to them? Because it's our responsibility.
Good fortune in my life as a tech industry trends analyst and all that to meet a whole bunch of people who were sort of unicorns of their own. And here I don't mean billion-dollar startups. I just mean they have really rich, deep ideas. And some of these unicorns are pretty clearly never going to make it to market or like find their way to the sea, to the ocean, right? Gyuri and I sat down on a couple of calls, and like I felt like Doug Engelbart first was like coming back to life and was more able than Doug to explain Doug's thinking, which is key here, right? Which is that I felt like I had privileged access to what Doug was trying to express from a technically deep perspective that wasn't wedded to what Doug had built once and wanted to recreate, which I think was part of what got Doug stuck, was that he always wanted to rebuild the thing he had demoed back in the day, but with sort of the freedom to think really broadly about, how else might this be instantiated? What else might show up? And how does this then play out the vision that Doug had, which is a brilliant vision that we still don't have. I mean, this is part of, Gyuri and I, when we first talked, we were like, how is it that so many years after the mother of all demos, we still don't have the features that Doug was basically talking about, right? And so I love that OGM exists as a vehicle for perhaps, I hope, the fulfillment of your vision and Marc-Antoine's vision and a whole bunch of other people's vision who've joined our communities, that we can kind of accelerate you into being, to help you explain it, express it, whatever, because these things are really valuable.
Gyuri is a master maker. He is not a journeyman. So he knows his craft and he's good at it, and he's the best at what he does.
Hallo, Tobias, a senzație vă liniștiți.